hard. We're getting to the final three, guys. Everyone watching, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're getting to number three, Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I love this movie. I enjoy it so much. I'm directed by Mike Daughtry, who's done like Trick or Treat, Krampus. Extremely, like, such a great screenwriter for starters, but also a great director. I love his work, and I love what he did with Godzilla and his amazing friends in this film. So, whew, let's get into it. So, I want to say real quick, just even though Godzilla King of the Monsters is number 3 on my power ranking list, it wasn't always. Sometimes it's my number 1, sometimes it's my number 2, but you know, I had to search my feelies here, and I gotta say, even though Godzilla King of the Monsters is number 3, the soundtrack by Bear McCreary is number 1. Bring Bear McCreary back. That's what I'm gonna say for now. But I gotta say, I really do like the human involvement here. Millie Bobby Brown, fresh off of her success in Stranger Things, being starring as 11. Here she's Maddie, and I think she's a great character. I love what they do with the Russell family here. Emma Russell, Dr. Emma Russell here, who, you know, at first, you know, the trailers left it a bit ambiguous what her role would be, but she is in fact the main human antagonist, and she's one of those characters she that you get. The key to writing a really good villain is making them not only relatable, but make the audience question whether or not they're really villains in the first place. Like, are they really bad guys? And while I do think, like, Emma Russell is a great antagonist, and I get exactly where she's coming from, I am not one of those people who think, oh yeah, I think that, I'm going to question whether or not she's a villain or not. No, she absolutely 100% is a villain. She's an eco-terrorist. What she does in this movie is appalling. And yeah, she does it for reasons that you kind of get. Oh, she lost her kid, and, you know, it causes a great deal of personal trauma and such. But hey, you don't go and unleash living weapons of mass destruction on the earth and start pursuing this really terrible you don't go all Thanos, okay? I loved Kyle Chandler's character, Mark Russell. I thought he was arguably one of the most relatable characters in the entire Monsterverse. I really liked a lot of I liked his involvement. I like how he goes from I want Godzilla dead for what he did to my family to I still don't exactly forgive him, but I see him as a necessary force, and how that changed him as a character as well. I thought was pretty good writing, and again, I kind of wish we got more of an expansion of, I thought we could have seen more of his character and Millie Bobby Brown's character as well, but unfortunately that just wasn't expanded upon. And Sir Charles Dance, Tywin Lannister himself. You know, technically, this guy, he's still alive, so hopefully we get to see him again. Alright, let's talk about the monsters. Oh, God, the monsters are just amazing. King Ghidorah in the Monsterverse. This is probably my favorite King Ghidorah design and depiction. I love how each Ghidorah each head has its own personality as well. I just love how just apocalyptic Ghidorah is. They fully embrace that, and I feel like they let King Ghidorah truly cut loose. They unleashed the three-headed, the devil with three heads, the Monster Zero. He is fully realized in this movie, and I love it. Mike Daughtry, I think, has mentioned that he was inspired by those old Renaissance paintings, and I think it shows in every single shot, especially the ones with the monsters. And I love how, like, it kind of does begin to while the Monsterverse, by the time we get to Godzilla versus Kong, we kind of begin to see more, I guess, video gamey angles, if that makes sense. Like, what I mean is different perspective shots. The perspective shots we get in Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla King of the Monsters and Kong Skull Island, and I guess Monarch Legacy of Monsters 2, are shots that feel like, I feel like I'm actually witnessing this from the perspective of a fellow human being. And I think that shows. And then, of course, we get some amazing shots like this. I mean, when you look at this, I feel like we are literally looking at the true evil, the true, like, such a, you totally get why King Ghidorah is Godzilla's nemesis and has been his arch rival for, like, what feels like millions of years. Like, I love how in the very beginning, you know, when Godzilla wakes up near a monarch outpost designed to, monitor Godzilla, he is super pissed off. He is rattled, and the reason why is because King Ghidorah is free. When you find out your arch nemesis, when you find out, yeah, that guy who wants to bring about the end times, cleanse the planet clean of life, is awake, he's free, yeah, I would be pissed off too. And yeah, Ghidorah here just showing his complete disdain for human beings is just a cherry on top. I love how this movie plays with the dynamics between Godzilla and King Ghidorah. I mean, every hero needs a villain, right? Superman, Lex Luthor, Batman, the Joker, Godzilla, King Ghidorah. These two are arch nemesis for arch rivals for a reason. And just about every shot involving these two going at it is a scene stealer. I just love this movie, and there's so much about, King Ghidorah's involvement that's just so noteworthy. Oh, in this shot too, this is Emma again. She's the human antagonist, but eventually I feel like she realizes the error of her ways. But alas, it's too late. You made a deal with the devil, and now the devil here, King Ghidorah, has come to collect. And oh my god, King Ghidorah is just so damn cool in this movie. It's a shame though that, I mean, despite how great this movie is, it's kind of a pity that they went with King Ghidorah already, because now the question is, it's going to be kind of a tad bit unbelievable to bring him back. I mean, there's a lot of, maybe it's not as big of a deal as I think it is, but I do feel like, man, you went with King Ghidorah in your third outing. Maybe, I mean, I get why, because the question is, would there have been more Monsterverse films after this? And I don't think there was any, like, obviously there's no guarantee even now, but around 2019 when Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, we didn't really know if this cinematic universe was sustainable. And again, given King of the Monsters is kind of a disappointing box office revenue, I do think there was some considerable doubt that the Monsterverse would be around in the future. And of course now it's evolved, it's thriving, which is great. And I feel like if they not only had like a 10-year plan, but also kind of figured, hey, it's in the year 2026 and beyond, we're gonna have Supernova, or we're gonna have more Monsterverse stuff. I think maybe they would have saved King Ghidorah for a little bit later down the road, but still, I love King Ghidorah, his depiction, his design, his sound, everything about King Ghidorah in this movie, just A+. And of course we have Mothra here. I'm gonna not dwell too much on Mothra, but I will say I absolutely love and adore what they did with the Queen of the Monsters here. Her relationship, her symbiotic connection with Godzilla was really, it was nice to see Mothra and Godzilla not be bitter enemies like we've seen so many times. And Mothra standing up and protecting Godzilla against King Ghidorah. Definitely one of the highlights. It sucks that it involved Mothra's destruction, but of course Mothra, her main power is reincarnation, and the fact that she would eventually return again in subsequent Monsterverse films is great. I mean, we just touched upon Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, and her involvement in that. So it's great to know that Mothra would come back, and that unlike for the rest of us, for Mothra, death is not permanent. It's merely you know, the next step towards, you know, your next life or something. So anyway, we're going to talk about Rodan because my boy Rodan deserves to come back. Unapologetically, I am a Rodan simp. I think it's a shame that Rodan so far has only made one appearance in the Monsterverse. I want him in more material. I am blown away by the fact that we haven't seen him in even in a comic book. It's outrageous. You'll have to forgive me in case you haven't noticed. My face is turning red because, man, I've been talking for a while. I do want to finish things up here, but you know, I'm committed. I'm committed, guys. But I gotta say, Rodan, he takes the cake. It's a true shame that we haven't seen more of him. This design is perfection. It's my favorite Rodan design. And I do, again, the imagery here in this entire movie is just amazing. I love this shot here because it's kind of like, it's right at that moment Rodan realized he made a terrible mistake. But, you know, I'm just thankful. My boy Rodan, despite switching sides, you know, trying to align himself with King Ghidorah, and then, you know, Godzilla forgives him because, you know, Rodan's awesome. And Rodan, don't let that go to waste. I'm glad my boy's still alive, but I just want to see him more. The only thing that I guess I'm very, like, bitter about still is the fact that I kind of feel like they should have still gone with his classic roar. They completely changed it for this movie, and if he ever comes back, make him sound like Rodan. You got the perfect Rodan design, and of course, Bear McCreary's entire score for Rodan's sequence when he's chasing our heroes is adrenaline through the roof. Loved it. I'm going to close off Godzilla King of the Monsters here by talking about my favorite scene, not only in the entire movie, but arguably my favorite scene from the entire Monsterverse. And I understand why some fans find this scene entirely, like, just controversial. I'll touch upon that, but first, I'm just going to say, Serizawa, realizing that the only way to save the Earth, the only way to not only restore balance, but stopping King Ghidorah, is to sacrifice himself for the one being that he literally sees as both a scientist and a philosopher as his god, is just such an emotional scene. And the fact that Godzilla takes notice, actually sees him and acknowledges him, is such a profound moment. I absolutely love this scene, and I understand that it's controversial because, okay, the whole point of Godzilla is that he's a nuclear allegory. You know, like, he's meant to represent the horrors of nuclear war, which this movie does touch upon. And believe me, it's not the people that think that Godzilla King of the Monsters is pro-nuclear. I don't know how you could arrive to that conclusion. You might say because they use a nuke, you know, in a way that's not, you know, in a way that, you know, does some good. But there are massive caveats that the movie even specifically takes note on. First off, the movie is not pro-nuclear. It's not, I'm sorry, it's a lot of metaphors, themes, subplots. They blatantly, flat out state that the movie clearly thinks nukes are bad. This is one of those things where Serizawa, when we touch upon not only the Hiroshima, Nagasaki bombings, the post-war trauma that an entire nation, an entire culture experienced. One of the main strengths of this entire scene is that Serizawa is able to take something so terrible, so destructive, like a nuke that has caused nothing but misery, harm to his people, to his country, to his culture, and found a way to actually take something so terrible but put it to good use. The only way that a nuke could possibly be put to good use is by reviving Godzilla. I mean, it's kind of similar, and in many ways it's an interesting the duality of how Serizawa is depicted in the Monsterverse, his character, his arc to his namesake from the 1954 original masterpiece, how that Serizawa realized that the only way to truly stop Godzilla was to use the oxygen destroyer. And saying that this movie is pro-nuclear because it used a nuke to revive Godzilla would be like me saying the original Gojira film is pro-oxygen destroyer because they used it to stop Godzilla. It's not remotely the point. And by the way, this would lead to massive caveats like I mentioned before. Serizawa sacrifices himself to revive Godzilla to give him and the planet a shot at stopping King Ghidorah. And it does lead to one of the coolest scenes, Godzilla Rebirth. Bear McCreary, his score, everything about this entire sequence is just incredible. But it does eventually lead to a massive caveat, like I said, which is Godzilla becoming a ticking time bomb. Serizawa's sacrifice bought the planet only a little bit of time, only a bit of extra time, because whether Godzilla stopped King Ghidorah or not, he does become a ticking time bomb. And again, it kind of does play with the fact that this movie the moral ambiguity of Godzilla King of the Monsters is something worth studying. There's a lot of more things that it touches upon that's morally gray, like the antagonist, like Emma Russell, her entire role in this. At times, again, you can see why she might be relatable, but it is undeniable that what she's doing is wrong. Her, like, maybe her heart, you could say, is in the right place. She wants to bring order to the world. She wants to, bring an end to war, pollution, and such. She's an eco-terrorist. Let's not forget, she's like Ra's al Ghul from Batman. But her methods are wrong and ineffective and counterproductive because it led to King Ghidorah's reawakening. Serizawa's sacrifice, despite being for the greater good, and indeed it would eventually, in hindsight, be a necessary thing to do, it could have also massively backfired. There's a lot that would happen after Serizawa's sacrifice, a lot of different variables, factors, other key players on the board, like Mothra. Her sacrifice as well would help Godzilla eventually maintain a sense of order, bring his new power level under control, so to speak. But anyway, I do want to touch upon it more maybe in the future, but for now I'm going to have to leave it at that. Godzilla King of the Monsters, one of my favorite Godzilla movies of all time. Love everything about it.